usually we put up on the board some information about the club, but I'll do it verbally. We're always welcome. We always open and welcome you new members. The first meeting's free. We hope you'll come back for the September meeting, where we will expect prorated dues. At that point, I think, Doug, we're halfway through the year. It's like $20 unless you've got a different calculation. So we're $40 a year. We have a book library that is out on the tables. And if you're a member, you're entitled to take a book for a month. We hope you'll bring it back and sign it back in the following month. Jerry Vandesandy is our librarian. He will be calculating any late fines and overdue borrows in the next 2 months.
And people can sign out over the summer.
And you can, if you sign it out with Jerry's acknowledgement, you can take it home for the 2 months and bring it back in September.
The sheet is sitting out there waiting. So.
Excellent. And so this is the part where you get to tell us who you are and what kind of woodworking you do. So you can tell us who, yeah, so you can stand up, tell us who you are, what kind of woodworking you do.
I'm from Howell. My name is Frank Pickett. I just like working on tables, to be truthful with you, and I just wanted to come out and see what the club is all about.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Well, so you got a rare night tonight, because usually once a year we do member showcase and ask people to bring current projects. We also, in addition to the written library, we have a tool library. So if you decide to like stretch into kitchen cabinets versus tables, we have a set of Craig jigs. We have a drill bit sharpening system. We've got a vacuum press. What am I leaving out? We've got a small bandsaw, a set of template guides for Brusso hinges. We've got a mini lathe.
Which is at Mark's house.
It's made a rare appearance somewhere other than Ray's house. What else? Am I missing something?
Yeah,
That's
few miscellaneous things.
It's on the website.
Yeah.
All right. Other announcements. Frank Bodner sent out an email tonight. By the way, is everyone getting the club email? All right, look at that. Fabulous, fabulous.
What if you're not?
If you're not, please see Frank at the break. Or
Frank, raise your hand just so people can see who.
That would be me.
Frank.
Just Frank. If you're not Frank, don't raise your hand.
You sure you're Frank?
That's interesting. So, with a real Frank, please stand up. So,
We should put the lights on.
good. Just let him know that you're not getting an email, or you'd like to be getting an email, and we'll try and make that correction. But in addition to sending out a reminder for tonight's meeting, he sent out a list of upcoming events. So we've got the barbecue on there. There's a what are we calling Camp Quality Making Day? And who's hosting it?
Well, no, that's the actual.
That's the actual Camp Quality. All right. So if you're interested in Camp Quality, which is a charitable organization that CJWA has had a nice history of supporting, we make projects for a camp that focuses on kids with cancer. If you'd like to make a kit that the kids can assemble, or something else, you can see Frank tonight. Bill Woodard is usually heading it up, but he's not here tonight. We'd love to have your help in advance, which is even the best thing. And if you have no time between now and the actual event, then the reality is you can probably help out with the visit to Camp Quality in August. Does that everybody understand that? Okay. We also have a new event on the calendar, and that is, and I've been working on this for a couple months, believe it or not, but the Nakashima workshops is a very tough place to get into with a group. They only do one tour a month typically, and they were booked for the entire year of 2016 in advance. I've asked repeatedly, and today they were gracious enough to give us a date sort of off their usual schedule. So the day before Labor Day weekend, Friday, September 1st, we have the opportunity to bring 30 woodwork, a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 30 woodworkers to the Nakashima workshops. And for those of you who are now going like, oh, it's a Friday, you know, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna manage the work schedule, just to make it a little more attractive, just so you know, that's actually a work day for the workshop. So for us coming in and seeing what's going on, it's not like a weekend where it's just shut down and you can wander around and see it, but they're actually making stuff that Friday.
What's the date again?
September 1st. Easy to
And
remember.
where's it located?
Their workshops are in New Hope, just a little,
Aquatone Road.
Just across the line,
what's that?
just across state line.
Just across state line. It's very close to New Hope, but not actually in New Hope. It's a little bit between Washington Crossing and New Hope, if you know where that is. Aquatone Road sort of crosses from
It's right near Bowman's Tower.
right near Bowman's Tavern. It crosses up the hill, heading towards Buckingham.
Down the street from Rice's auction.
Right down the street from Rice's auction. Everybody got a good picture of this now? Kind of get you lost in Bucks County before we're done. Anyway, it's a pretty neat compound. I think there's actually 8 buildings, so you not only get to see the workshops and the finishing space and some of the lumber storage, but they have a showroom and a house, and if you haven't been there, I mean, I've seen it just walking around. It's pretty neat because not only is it still a working place, but he actually designed and built all the buildings, including like some of the buildings are poured concrete shells, almost like band shells. You know, they're I guess they're conoid in shape. They're pieces of a cone slice, and so you know, see how this stuff is holding up, and you know, it's not unlike going to see like Wharton Esherick House, or you know, if you were out in California and went to see not Green and Green, what's his name? Maloof. Go to see Maloof's house. No, just see an interest. I mean, not only was he a great woodworker, but he had the vision basically to basically shape his own environment, all of his buildings by hand. So it's worth going.
What time?
I don't have an exact time yet. They're going to email me with detail. It's also good. It comes with a mandatory on their part $40 donation to their Peace Foundation. You know, the conversation was a little bit like, how many people are you bringing? And they said, how many can I bring? And they said 30 at the maximum, 30 at the minimum, and it is $40 donation per person, and we might even ask for a deposit. And she said, so how many do you think you're bringing? And I said, well, I can't tell you exactly, but we're going to have a meeting tonight, and I'll see if I can't get a head count, but assume we'll bring probably 30 people. I doubt we would hit the maximum on this one. So any questions?
You could tell them about his attitude towards the wood. He knew what the wood was for, and it wasn't for.
Absolutely. Even now, you know, they adhere. I mean, I've heard Steve Altman refer to this. It's like, you know, it was a religion. I mean, he fundamentally believed in a kind of spiritual life for the trees. He thought they were talking to him, even to the point where, you know, his daughter now runs it with a lot of the original woodworkers he worked with. And my brother-in-law, who's an architect for this prestigious small firm in Manhattan, the group of architects went to go visit her, and they were talking about like a conference table for their office or something, and they were touring the woodlot with her, and they were like, what about this slab? And she's like, that doesn't want to be a coffee table, or that doesn't want to be a conference table, that wants to be a coffee table, you can't have it. So there is a sort of like, I don't want to say it's a mystique, but there's a particular way of approaching the woodworking that makes it a little different, but it's worth seeing.
Start a sign-up sheet?
Yeah, we'll start our sign-up sheet before the night is out, and if you're definite, please sign it up. And
Is he meeting there at the?
yes, it'll be a Friday. We'll meet there. You know, obviously, for those of us who like Mercer County, it's a pretty easy commute. But if you're coming from here on this side of the state or further north, you know, the Morris County area, like a carpool is probably a good idea.
Has anybody ever seen the, on American Masters on PBS, they did a show on George Nakashima. I don't know if anybody saw it. American Masters.
There's at least half a dozen videos on YouTube.
Yeah, he started his childhood as kind of trying. His family was removed from California. He spent his childhood in the camps in Arizona after Pearl Harbor. They were, you know, his family living in the West Coast, and You know, they were in the camps in Arizona, and he came out of
Yep.
that and became,
And he was a renowned architect before that. I believe actually the firm he worked for was sort of descended in the school of Frank Lloyd Wright architects, and they had done work in both Japan and the U.S. and California in the 20s. So interesting take. She's now an architect, I believe Yale trained, and so the link between architecture and architecture is strong. Any other announcements from anyone else before I do that?
There was a third.
Ah,
Forestry Day.
right, Forestry Day. Do we remember the date? I don't remember the date.
It was a Saturday, October 1st-ish, somewhere around there.
First
whatever that-
Saturday in October.
First Saturday in October is Forestry Day, and it's still in Howell and
Jackson.
Jackson. Sorry, that's actually Jackson. I don't know where we stand on kits, but it's another event where we typically make birdhouse kits and then sell them to kids and help them assemble them. That's pretty rudimentary. We even have a new kit, I believe. We got a new design last year, which is even better. 3 new designs. So we've been flexing a little bit of creativity and woodworking muscle.
Sold
lately.
out last year.
Yeah, so I think we're probably due for some birdhouse building. If you're interested, if you have a shop and you're interested in even hosting a couple of guys to make some birdhouses, maybe put the word out. We're always looking for donations of wood too. So if you have any interest in donating some pine or cedar for the birdhouse builds, see me, Mark, Frank, any of the office.
Yeah. I'm looking for 2 volunteers for the City Falls Community Garden to help me install a couple of community garden gates. So I brought one with me that I made. So anybody wants to spend a couple of days putting in 4x4 posts, setting them, and then installing the gates, and I'm looking for 2 helpers.
Garden gates installation, good chance to learn a new skill if you've never hung a gate straight. And we have one last one. It's not exactly an announcement, but we are going to start another group build shortly. Ray Windricki has offered to do a fall build of an old-fashioned it's not a scroll saw, bow saw. If you've ever thought about making a bow saw, it's a pretty neat, hand tool for cutting. You can do all kinds of curved work, and you can dovetail with it. And so he's got plans and sourcing for the pins and blade assembly, and so it's a good project, another tool project. So I don't know if you've decided how many you're taking, probably no more than 5 or 6.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have all the details worked out, but I was just looking to see what kind of interest there was.
Right. So if you have interest, see Ray, we'll start to take names.
Got one thing. So, looking forward into the fall calendar, I've been working with Monteith, trying to get somebody to come here, but it looks like we're probably going to go there as having an off-site meeting. So sometime in the fall, hopefully either September or October, while it's light later. And, we did this a long time ago, probably 10 or more years ago. Very interesting. They sell hardwood lumber. They also have a molding business on there, and they sell Ipe decking. But it was very interesting the last time we were there. So anyway, we're trying to recreate that. So in the event that we do it in September, and the only reason I would try and do that is their availability for one thing, but it's light later. So it's either going to be September or October, but just watch the emails, because we may not meet here for September, but we'll send stuff out well in advance. So it should be a good meeting. I know sometimes when we travel somewhere, and we don't do it that often, we don't get that good of attendance, but this would be worth your while. And Monteith's a good friend of the club. They actually give us a 10% discount, and their prices are good to start with. So, and they're local.
Where are they located?
They're actually technically, I think it's South Amboy, but it's like Old Bridge. Yeah, so they're
Bordentown Avenue.
yeah, Bordentown Avenue. So it's not far from Sayreville, but their mailing address is Old Bridge. Okay, so
It's in that corner of the state that's sort of between the turnpike and the
yeah, yep.
expressway, parkway, and like it could be in half of it.
Route 9, Hernston Road, Borden Road. Just that's Borden
Yeah.
Road.
So just, you know, you guys will forget between now and then, but they have a big saw blade. It must sit this high out front. You know, it says their name on it. Not Willard,
Yeah.
Monteith. And you just gotta follow this dirt road back,
Yeah.
because you're kind of set way back.
And
But
kill your suspension doing
just
that.
follow the trail of sawdust.
Drive slow.
Drive very slowly because the driveway is not.
Yeah. It's a working area.
Not working, yeah. It ain't working.
All right.
All right. Any other announcements from membership? All right. So I guess I don't know. I'm kind of interested in maybe starting at this end because Jerry's already mentioned the garden gate. So maybe we'll start at that end and work our way around. So everybody's in a chair. So maybe if you're going to present, just bring it up here, and we'll all be able to see from here.
Just to announce, I have no interest myself, but start thinking about elections in January.
Yes.
January will be coming here sooner than you know. And we'll
Coming
be-
fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you have no interest.
He's trying to help me out because we did make the offer. So if somebody was interested in and thought maybe they'd want to learn about taking on a leadership role, to let me know earlier, then maybe you could get a little bit more information before we just passed the keys. But so far it's been crickets, so it's a good reminder. All right. So who's? I see there actually there's birds. Are there bird gardens on the end?
So if you can, why don't we just carry them up front here?
Yeah.
Because this table's open.
Yeah.
And this way everybody can kind of stay and we can kind of do it that way. We can help bring the stuff over.
He's falling asleep.
I'm awake. One piece of that and then cut it
Glued together enough to make half the width.
Yeah, so you make them thicker than.
Yeah, then I bent to it, reglue it.
She'll suck up anything.
And then it's gotta be plain.
Who's going first?
I thought the birds were first.
Birds are first.
Birds are first.
You're on.
I'm the
No
bird.
pressure.
I mean, you can do it from inside the aisle.
You don't want to let them fly away.
This is a black-billed magpie. This is about 1/3 scale. It's a miniature. They're bigger than a crow if you count the tail. This was prompted by, this is a very bad photograph of two of them that were, this was up in the Colorado Rockies in April, and they were ripping this grass apart and taking it into the pines to build a nest. So
You want to pass that around?
I decided to, I'm making a, it's just a quick mock-up of the model of what I want to try to entail here. I'm going to make grass out of metal, put feet on the birds, and then the flying bird that's flying in will be supported by some steel, brass wire, and the reason I made the mock-up is a couple of things. I can, this is sculpting clay, never hardens, and it's softened in the car today. And the tail was off and it was in pieces. But I made the mock-up for a couple of reasons, because the bird that's flying in, you can't make that out of one piece of wood very easily. So that's one of the reasons I mocked it up, because I was wondering whether I should try to put the grain running across the wing and body, and then make the tail out of a separate piece. But then I decided too much cross grain in the head and such, so I'm going to do the classic way of tail, body, and head is one piece of wood, and then the two wings will be inserted below what's called the scapulars. That's a clump of feathers. It's these two white bands are the origin of those feathers are right on the shoulder, and they provide a transition between the body and the wing. So I'm going to carve them
Hold up a little higher.
as part of the body.
Put up in the air. That's it,
Okay.
yeah.
The white part is going to be part of the body, and then I'm going to make the wing as a wedge that goes in underneath that.
Nice.
And here's another advantage of the clay. See that he's flying. He doesn't want to sit still.
He's turn.
But you can come up and look at this later, but the head, you can remove it and rotate it. So I can make it so that
He's looking.
it looks at the bird that's
Yeah.
coming in,
Yeah.
and I can make that model out of the clay before I start cutting wood. Below here. Here's my first starting on cutting the wood.
Yeah.
And I noticed I left a lot of wood up here, so I can do whatever I want with that head. Some of the little idiosyncrasies, if you look at the pictures, here, this one, those two top feathers are separate from the rest of the tail feathers. They sit on top when it comes into the body, so they separate easily. So when I carve this bird, I'm probably going to make those feathers a separate piece relative to the rest of the tail, so I can carve and detail the tail minus those two feathers, and then put the feathers on top. That's probably close to that story. This is, I don't know if you've seen Sculpey. It's the kids play with it, and you can bake it in the oven. So this is a rigid model I made. I actually did this in a seminar, and it's permanent. So if you want to make a permanent model, you can get this Sculpey stuff in the craft shops. Oh, one other thing, if you take a detailed look at this, you'll see there's a shiny beak. There's different, all parts of this bird has got, the tail has got a piece of aluminum, the two wings have a armature of aluminum, and there's a profile of the beak embedded in the clay, which is a big advantage. You can machine that, file it, get it perfect, then embed it into the clay, and all you have to do then is take a little sculpting knife and go whoop and shave it off, and it's done. And it doesn't sag anymore, you know? So that's the advantage of that. Some people were asking me earlier that what the eyes are, and they're glass eyes. You can buy them from taxidermy suppliers or carving suppliers. I had a couple of pages of notes, but I think I covered it. Well, maybe next year you'll see this thing finished.
So, some of you are married and have wives. My wife runs the community garden in Tinton Falls, which a year ago opened their second garden. And the problem is that in all these gardens are fenced in to keep the animals out, because they love to come in and steal the food. So is another group of human animals lately that have been raiding the garden, and they thought that because it's a community garden, you can just go pick your own. So I was told, here's your deal, you gotta build me some gates that are easy to open, lockable. And it's gotta be out of material that won't rot. And we gotta be able to see through them, because a lot of people are small, like my wife who's 5 feet. So we won't want somebody opening a door into somebody. Oh, and here's the best part, your budget's only $500 a gate. So I started out buying shorts at
volunteered.
Of course. You know, what am I, crazy? I don't want a miserable life, you know, for the next couple of years. And so the plan, and also even the threshold of a swinging door is somewhat of a challenge, because you have to have a threshold in that it has to have a higher area so that when the gates close, the animals can't get through the cracks. Because little chipmunks love to come into the community garden. So do rabbits and mice and anybody else that can get in there.
But it's not tall enough to keep the deer from jumping over.
But deer won't jump over anything.
That they can't see the other side.
No. Okay, and if you hang some wire and some tin foil from it, they won't go through there. So on the newer garden, the fencing around it is about 5 feet, and then they string wire, and they have all this aluminum foil or pie plates on it.
We also put a charge on it.
So the next thing and that's why I'm looking for a couple of volunteers, because they have to. I'm using some 10-foot posts, 4x4s, to hang these on 3 feet into the ground, and so it's 2 feet above the 5-foot gate. So here is one of the challenges I learned. Has anybody here worked with cedar?
Yeah.
It crushes. Put on a mortise machine, forget it. It just crushes. There's no way you can get a clean mortise by using a mortise machine. And a sharp chisel, no matter how sharp it is, even if it's a Japanese chisel, won't work. It crushes also. So after a little experimenting, what I found out was the best thing to use is an up spiral. And it made a nice clean, half-inch, nice clean mortise. So these all have 2 by 2 tenons on them. No, not loose, part of it. Solid tenons. Built onto it. And the one in the middle has, it's easy enough to do with if you had a tenon jig. It's just a lot of cuts. It cuts a tenon. And the one in the middle has a 2.5, and the only thing I haven't done yet is pin them. And the other thing was I had to be able to replace the lattice. So running out of money, I ended up using cheap lattice that you buy, you know, in Lowe's or something. And what I found is that was the most time-consuming thing, because every one is stapled together, and none of the staples are nailed over. So what I did is I developed a retaining system where actually the only fixed one is these, and these 3 come out. The lattice pulls out, and that's the name of it. Now all I gotta do is finish it. And then I need to install it.
What are you going to finish it? What are you going to finish it with?
Well, that's the question. So here's what I found out by going to the Western Red Cedar people. The best way to get a long finish on this is use a wood preservative that's also a waterproofing agent in it. Give it a quick coat, prime it, and paint it. That finish will stay on for about 10 years or better. Put a second coat on, it'll probably last you 12. Use a semi-gloss stain on it, like by Cabot or somebody. Every 2 years you're refinishing it. But you know, it's wood, right? And we all love the prettiness of the wood. But then I'm also thinking maybe I just give that up. Because I can't think of anybody in the garden that's going to come back, and no matter how easy it is to brush on a little stain, is going to do that. So, I mean, I'll take suggestions if anybody's got it.
Well, if you haven't used it, I mean, it's pretty noxious stuff, but the marine finishes, there's a 2-part finish that the boat makers swear by for decking and stuff, and it's a Cetol, which is basically like a stain with iron in it.
Yeah.
That you paint on first, and then like after 2 coats of that and you let it cure, there's basically a gloss coat, which is almost like a 1-part epoxy that goes over it.
And that'll hold up in the sunlight?
Yeah, 5 to 10 years on a boat.
2 years.
Yeah.
I've already got, I've got 6 on a set of mahogany boards for a sailboat.
Wow.
And it's doing
Really? Yeah.
That's impressive.
I mean, I used to have a boat, and I used to remember how,
You're always doing the
every
prep
2
work.
years it was another job.
My only, it's a West Systems product, my only caution on it is, the stuff is like toxic. You gotta use rubber gloves and goggles and,
Yeah, how does it
you
go
know,
on?
face mask.
Just goes on
With a
the
brush.
Goes on with a brush?
Yeah.
Not a problem, I got.
So, what's your last, is that pressure treated?
Yeah, because I was done, I bought a whole sheet of that for like $22.
So one of the problems is, you try and paint pressure treated and it just doesn't look very good.
No, the stuff in the middle,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get a semi-transparent stain.
Okay.
And do it gray, just for the hell of it. But
Sure.
I hate to do, I really appreciate that suggestion, because I've been, thrown. How about using that on the buried part of the posts? Is that okay?
You can use it on anything, but anything other than pressure treated. I've used it on mahogany and I've seen it used on teak. I haven't read anything about using it on softwoods like cedar or, yellow pine or anything like that, or even white.
Well, I'm going
oak,
to
I don't know.
West. And
But yeah, if you go, there's even I think it was West Systems, if you go to the West Systems site and you look for the 2-part, Cetal and gloss finish, they even have an
That'd
article.
be very cool, I'd like to do that.
I think the article, the test that led me to it was published by American Boat Builder or something like that, and basically they did like a 4-year longitudinal study out in the weather, and this one won.
I mean, I know if you take a cedar post and you set it in stone, you basically dig this tight post hole about 8 inches round, and you set it in stone, it doesn't rot. The water goes right through it. I got a mail post sitting, for my mailbox. It's been there for 25 years. And underground, it's good, but you also have to finish underneath with something. Otherwise, the winter gets to it. The water gets into the wood and freezes and breaks apart. It's not that it's rotting.
So my own experience as a kid putting up a fence with cedar posts is I put them all in concrete, and the concrete attacks the cedar, and then when a strong wind comes by, it snapped off all the posts right up the
There's a
ground.
question about that, and I don't know what the real answer is. Somebody told me who's pretty good in the fence business, just so you know, is that it's not that the concrete, I believe the concrete eats wood. That's what I believe, because I know concrete eats copper and everything
Yeah.
else. And I've even booted them in aluminum. I've watched it eat that out. But somebody said to me, actually, if you poured concrete around them and you had some stone on the bottom, the only thing you would really have to do to prevent the water from getting to it is actually cork it with an elastic cork. Because the problem is that the water is getting between the concrete and the post.
So
And it's freezing and basically, not rotting it out, but actually cracking it.
as a kid, I had to change out 8 of these posts every year, and I got fed up and I refused to do it. And then I put them back with galvanized fence posts. So what I'm suggesting here is what you might want to do is put a galvanized post in there, build a wooden cedar frame to hang it on so you get the looks of the cedar, but you got the structural integrity of galvanized post there in the ground.
Well, I've used cedar posts in spring
just-
lessons.
But you're using pressure treated anyway for the post, right?
No, he said he
I'm gonna
bought
use
cedar.
Cedar's
Oh,
better
okay.
than pressure treated.
Okay.
The only thing that you have a problem with cedar, if you ever build a gazebo or any type of structure, is that its ability to hold screws is questionable sometimes. And so anytime you have a hinge, you want to make sure you got 2 bolts in it instead of just screws.
That's the other issue, and it doesn't hold well.
Yeah, but, go ahead.
Splits in half, 4x4 will check real deep and wide.
Not if it's clear and not if it's been kiln dry.
So you had a budget.
We said
Yeah,
$500
the post I
for a
did-
little fence?
The post I got for, believe it or not, from Medford Cedar, completely clear kiln dry post for $65 a post. So I can't complain at that number. And the total material for both fences, because I bought these 2x8 by 6 foot long shorts by the foot at $4 a running foot. It was like $500, and I still got leftover. I'll have leftover material.
There's a famous book called The 60-Foot Owl Tomato, And it talks about the exploits and doing gardens and all the problems you run into. And it's interesting that your fence posts are $68, you said? So
Yep.
it's a great read.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So who's next down the line of?
Before you go.
Bring it right up on top. It's not a shaker box.
That'll look great in a community garden.
Doesn't look like a shaker box. I'm impressed. The big stuff. Oh, no, that did. Sweet, all right.
I didn't want to let you down. My daughter got married in October. She told me that she didn't want to have a guest book at the wedding. She'd prefer a guest bench.
What, why?
I have no
Oh,
idea.
everybody's
Just
fine.
came up
You
with
have
that?
kids?
Yes.
Then do you have any idea why?
It's a great idea, just,
I said, are you kidding me?
had she heard of somebody who had one?
I don't know. Maybe on Pinterest, there's all kind
Got
of
it, got it.
craziness there. I have no idea. I have no idea. So Mark, I have to thank Mark. He turned me on to, Matt, excuse me. I have to thank Matt. He turned me on to the guy over in Monroe to get a piece of natural edge walnut. And, you know, I just cut it. I inlaid and biscuit the top, put it at a slight angle, a piece, and at the wedding everybody came and they signed whatever they wanted on there. And
Well, what is it signed with? I mean, what is that a Sharpie?
Sharpies.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I've been trying to see, you know, coat it so that it didn't come off. Shellac's no good. Poly's no good. I have some pre-cat. I think you told me to try. I found a guy at the show in there, and I'm going to try it on a...
So that's because
Test
the
piece.
Sharpie's dissolving in whatever solvent?
No, you see, they're like shiny.
Yes.
And if you spray stuff on it, it just takes the shininess away and it makes it dull.
Oh, wow.
It's like...
So you can't keep anything on this, oh, that's interesting.
So I'm gonna try that. If not, I'm not really quite sure.
Just try wax?
I guess I'll try. I'm not.
Wax might be a good idea.
Is that what happened with that, the signatures down below?
You can see right here where people sign.
Yeah.
When I spray it, it gets very dull.
Well, yeah, when you tilt it to the light, you see it all.
Yeah, but in here, you can tilt it all you want. You can see it, but it just takes the.
You better do that on a scrap piece.
I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I didn't think there was gonna be a problem until I whoa.
yeah.
So.
Did you actually watch as they wrote all over this bench, or did you look away?
I probably watched some of the bars. It was across from the bar. So
And that's where you were.
part of the evening. I'm paying for it. I might
I
as
know.
well taste some of it. So, and I didn't want anybody to be disappointed, but you know, at a wedding, they usually have those cages and stuff where you slide them. So I just thought this was a little bit
Oh, that's beautiful.
nicer. It's a tall 10 with a slot in the side, a slot inside, so you can put your
Contribution.
I actually had someone came to me and asked me if I'd build them one. I told them $300, and they started saying, I mean, the wood alone, the wood is like 60-some bucks, just the wood.
It's always the case.
That's cherry.
I think $300 is pretty fair.
I know.
It's
I think $300
like
is
a
fair,
veneer,
Frank.
but it's thicker. It's thicker. It's a regular shaker box. I like making them, as most people know.
I think $300 is a fair
I have
price.
lots of them.
Yeah.
And guess what? I made this one and I gave it away. My daughter has it, so my wife don't care.
Yeah.
You didn't fill it with cookies?
I actually brought stuff tonight. But
It's great, it's a nice design.
people kind of liked it, so it was
Very
really.
nice.
I actually liked the way it came out for a wood butcher. It came out pretty nice.
Oh, that's nice.
How do you bend?
Oh, we boil it. You get I have a tray, and you boil it for about 20 minutes. First you cut, well,
You need to do your lecture again.
If you look online at the club under February, it explains it. I did it there, but it's just fingers. I had a finger pattern and we just enlarged it, made more fingers. You draw it, you cut them, you boil it, and because this is so big, you can't have a wooden, if you had a wooden mold that big, it'd be like heavy, so I made it out of styrofoam. Regular pink Home Depot, you know. I have a page, and it has all the different sizes, up to 12s. And this is a 10, it's a tall 10. And it came out great, and like I said, all I did is I just cut a slot in the top so that people could drop a gift in there if they chose
Drop
to,
money in.
you know.
Really nice.
Did you steam that as well?
No, this is just plain
raising
oil.
temperature to get the lignins pliable, or?
Oh, no, I didn't do, this is all just.
No, sorry, for the shaker box.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
You're
all,
saying boil it, but you could just as easily steam it?
I guess you could,
You'd have to have a very tall steam box.
very long.
Yeah.
But I have a long boiling pan. And you boil it for 20 minutes, causes the lignum to loosen up. Once the lignum loosens, you put it around the mold, you clamp it, you take it over, you put your nails in your holes. And
Sounds easy.
It's, the hardest part, especially on the taller ones, is you really have to support all the fingers as you're bending it. Because if you don't support them together, it splits. It just splits. So as you bend it, I put a piece of wood here. As we bend it, and then I clamp it, and I use the piece of wood to hold it here so that it doesn't split up. And, it's really not that hard. If it was, I couldn't do it.
Experience is everything.
And I started with little ones, and I gradually worked my way up to bigger ones. I actually like the bigger ones now because everybody sees the little ones around, but you don't really see too many of the big ones because there's not a lot of people that actually make them and sell them. They'll sell the smaller ones. There's some people, but once you get bigger, I mean, I really, looking online, there's only like 2 guys online that make them larger than 10s. There's 12s. I've seen up to a 16, but this is what they call a tall 10 by the size. I came here and did it, and we made some 4s, I think, when I was here. I think we made 4s, which are about that big. And, it's, I like making them. I find them very relaxing. It's not very complicated. You don't need a lot of tools. And I have a small space in my basement. I don't have a huge shop. I have a table saw and a drill press and stuff, and, I don't have a planer, I don't have a surface sander. I buy the material from a guy in Michigan because I don't have the capability to cut a tall piece like this that thin, And I'm quite sure there must be some veneer mills you can talk to, and they might be able to, because it's not veneer. I mean, especially now the way they cut veneer like paper thin. It's thicker. It's see, it's about an 1/8 of an inch or 3/32.
Yes, you can get, there's a veneer place, you can get that.
Where? Around?
It's Certainly Wood, I think they're in Canada. And what they-
Certainly Woods, I've seen them in the
Yeah,
catalog.
they have, what they'll have is that certain veneers that have what they call special thicknesses, because usually it is 1/50th, very small, but they'll have 16ths and sometimes thicker pieces, and they have it around. But they don't have it in every wood, so it's like kind of what they have around.
Yeah, but that's okay, because
Yeah,
the guy you talked to in Michigan only has it in maple and cherry.
Well, you might be able to get it, it
Because
certainly would.
I cut some of the thinner stuff on my, the shorter stuff on my table saw. I've cut walnut, I've cut quarter sawn sycamore and things like that, which is beautiful. But once I get over a certain height,
You
I
can't do
don't
that.
really have that
No,
capability.
no.
If I had, more machinery or equipment, I guess I
You could
could,
do it.
but I don't personally own that.
They might have it, they might
You know.
have, yeah.
So, it's That's what I,
And what wood is that?
this is cherry, this is walnut.
What's on that, shellac?
This is walnut oil. I like using it. It doesn't have a...
Not inside, only outside.
Only the outside, because that way there's ever no smell on the inside. Because you know yourself, you put, if I spray, because some of the other ones that I have, I'll spray them with poly, you know. I spray them with poly and it's nice. But if you spray them on the inside with poly, it takes a long, long time to get rid of the smell, especially when it's closed, right? It would take you a long time to spray it and get rid of the smell. And if you look at any of these, any of the good ones that you can see online, because there's other people that make them, and I mean, I looked at some of them, I'm like, are you kidding me? But if you look at any of the good ones, they're never finished on the inside. And the reason they don't finish them on the inside is that way it doesn't retain any smell.
How's the bottom plastic?
Because at one time, they used to use this to store food, you know, food products and stuff. And they've had shellac forever, right? I mean, shellac has been around for hundreds of years, but it still would leave a smell, you know, even after, you know, it sets. And that's why if you look at any of the original shaker stuff, and you can buy it, some of it's extremely expensive, some of the old stuff, but they're never finished on the inside. And actually, the older ones, when you pop the top off, you'll see that there's no finish around the lip as well. You know, they like put it here and then they finish them. They don't take the top off. That I do because I don't like it. Even the ones that are milk painted. If you look at the ones that are milk painted, if you really, the older ones, you take the tops off, the milk paint isn't underneath. It's all around here. You'll see a little, you'll see, you know, right here.
Like a tan line.
Yeah, like a tan line, exactly. Like around here, it'll be, you'll see that line because they wouldn't take the tops off to finish them. And I guess some of it is because maybe it would retain the smell or whatever, you know. I don't know, but...
Change the thickness too.
It probably. And this one I made sure it was pretty tight so it wasn't easy to get off. You know, it's...
Are they brass rivets?
Copper. And they're
I'm
not
sorry,
rivets, they're tacks.
I meant to say
Copper tacks. They're not rivets, they're tacks.
tacks.
How do you get to the top and bottom?
Once you have your mold and you make your bottom,
And that's press fit?
and then you used your piece as a mold for the top. And then when you do the top and bottom, the secret to get them so it's a fairly nice tight finish is you cork them. You cut it at a 2-degree angle.
Got it.
So when you press them into place, it holds it tight, spreads the top a little, and gives you a pretty nice tight finish if you just cork it slightly. Set your disc sander at like 2 degrees or 88 degrees. You want to tilt it down, not up. Because if you tilt it downward instead of upward, if you tilt the disc sander downward, when you take this as it's finished and it's hollow, you set it on your piece of top or bottom material, you trace it. Now you have a line for the inside. And if you tilt it where it's down,
You can see
or,
it.
yeah, when you get to the line, right, you know, when you get to the line, as it pulls it in, it'll tilt it, you know, I guess you tilt it upward. That's how mine is. It's tilted upward, not downward. It's tilted upward. 2 degrees, because you're working to the line, and you're drawing the line. You set the disc on top, you trace it, right? On the board, that's going to be this. Then your piece is tilted upward. Yeah, it's upward. My disc sander is tilted up 2 degrees or 88 degrees instead of, or 70, you know, whatever. It's 2 degrees. I just put my gauge on there and then I tilt it upwards 2 degrees. Lock it in, and then when you sand it, it's 2 degrees. It's not a dramatic.
Right.
But when you place it in, when you get it so that it just starts, and then you press it, it corks it, and it gives you that nice tight seal. None. No glue. And this is a big box. If I brought a number 4 in, I'm a big fat guy. I can stand on a number 4 and it won't break. They're strong. They're very strong.
Just by fitting it that way, it won't come off without adhesive?
there's no adhesive. I have some that are, you don't need adhesive.
But they're pinned.
There's magical, we have these special little pins that we use here, wooden pins. They're specially made by the toothpick company. They're toothpicks, and if you get the square toothpicks, and you know what they say about putting a square thing in a round hole, once it goes in, it takes that shape, you snip them and sand them, and they don't come out. My son was looking for a piece he wanted to use, and he actually knocked it off on top of my thing, and it came down, and it broke, except pieces that are there, but the piece, because other stuff fell on it, and he broke it, but the bottom pieces, it's in. Yeah, it don't come out. Same with the bottom. And they're toothpicks, diamond toothpicks. They're square.
Yeah.
And
That one gets-
you can cut them in half and you get 2 out of each.
Expensive. Reality.
I'm a woodworker, you're cheap.
And when you say walnut oil, you mean
There's a lot of people use a lot of other stuff. I like Mahoney's, it's easy, right? And you don't have to worry about any toxicity and stuff like that. I mean, BLO is, I'm not a big fan, but I use, this is just Mahoney's walnut oil.
utility finish, I think it calls
Yeah.
it.
I mean, some people want them, some people like them to be shiny. I don't, but if they want, I'll spray them with poly. And like I said, like I told you before, I don't sell them. And you know my reasoning. Because when I told that lady that asked me, I'll make this, it's $300. All of a sudden, they weren't interested. But to be honest with you, one person online sells a tall 8. It's smaller than this. It's a little bit shorter, smaller than this, and they want $300 for it, for the same exact purpose. It's a wedding card holder, and they wanted $300. It's a tall 8. This is a